Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to discuss A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book in A Court of Thorns and Roses series. This book review will have two parts to it. The first part will be spoiler free, and the second part we're going to dive into the spoilers. Fun fact, this is actually the second time that I have read this book because when I recently bought A Court of Mist and Fury a few weeks ago, I realized that I didn't remember much about this book because it has been almost exactly a year ago since I've read it, and I read it so quickly that I realized I kind of forgot a lot, so I really wanted to brush up on the politics and kind of some of the smaller details that happened in this book. So in this book we follow our main character, Feyre. She is 17 years old, and one day she is hunting in the woods and she kills a wolf in order to feed her family. Well, turns out that this wolf happens to be a high fae. Now, where Feyre grows up, fairies are more legends, and so they don't really believe that they exist. One night, this beast barges into Feyre's house and demands that she goes with him and lives in the fairy world for the rest of her life as retribution for killing a fae. Of course, Feyre ends up going with him. Feyre soon learns that this beast is actually a high fae named Tamlin. She gets immersed in this new world and she ends up learning a lot more than she thought she would, and of course, a lot of chaos happens and a pretty steamy romance. I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the plot, and I'm usually not one to love stories about faes. I've tried them before and it just really, I couldn't really get into them, but I loved this book. Sarah J. Maas opened up a new world of reading for me with fairies and faes, and I'm really excited. Now, I believe this book is considered young adult or new adult, but I would say this is more borderline kind of adult. There are a few steamy romance scenes that I would say are more on the adult side, and there's also a lot of graphic, violent scenes. I really enjoyed the writing style of this book. It had a really good pace. There was a good balance between description and dialogue. There weren't too many scenes where it was extremely wordy. The plot flowed very well, and the writing was very beautiful. Towards the last third of the book, it kind of started getting a little bit slower paced, and then whoops, it just turned around and things just kind of snowballed from there, and there was action scene upon action scene upon action scene. Now getting on to the characters. This is written in Feyre's first person point of view, and personally I thought Feyre was really annoying. Annoying because she thought she was really strong, but I thought she was kind of a weak character. The only thing going for her was she had a decent sense of humor, and she did what she had to do. She went hunting night after night to feed her family because that's what she had to do, otherwise her family would starve. And she went to the fairyland because, once again, that's something she ended up having to do. So all her actions was really based on the fact that she didn't really have a choice, instead of her being more of a strong character. I did enjoy Tamlin. He was really scary at times. I thought his character was well done. He had great character development. He kind of started with that male brooding character trope and then really developed into kind of his own character, and we got to see a lot from him without being in his point of view, and that's how you know that a character has great development. My favorite character is by far Lucien. He was snarky, he had great humor, he was smart, and he was strong, very cunning, somewhat manipulative. I did enjoy the dynamic between him and Feyre. I liked their kind of snarky remarks that bounced back and forth. I thought that was really funny, and I like how he kind of toyed with her a little bit, but nothing too dangerous, just enough for it to be humorous. As far as Feyre's family, I did not like them at all. Her younger sister was really to me, ignorant or naive, just kind of annoying, just didn't really know what was going on. Her older sister was nasty and kind of vicious. I really loved the fairy politics in this book. I loved how there were different courts. Each court is ruled by a different high fae. Tamlin is the high fae of the spring court, and then there's the summer court and the winter court and the night court. It's very, very interesting. There is a big twist at the end, which I did not see coming. To me, the ending was not predictable at all. So if you're really interested in picking up a new series with faes and you love a great plot twist at the end, then I really do highly recommend this book. I think you're going to be thoroughly entertained and you're going to stay intrigued to continue on because the second book is quite chunky. Alright, well that is it for the non-spoiler part of this book review. If you have not read this book, go and read it and come back. Okay, so let's discuss Nesta's character for a second. At first, I absolutely hated her, and then when Feyre has to go back home and Nesta reveals to her that the glamour didn't work on her and she knows exactly what happened and she remembers what happened, and Tamlin taking her away, she just completely 180'd, and it was really interesting how all of a sudden, now that they are wealthy and she has everything that she ever wanted, she is now nice to Feyre and she understands and she is willing to help. I'm not too sure. I have a feeling that we're not, Nesta, we're gonna get more of her, and I'm curious to see where her loyalty really lies. I felt the book was kind of dragging a little bit as she went home, and then she found out what happened to Claire. She decided that she needed to go back to the spring court and see Tamlin and see what was going on. Once that happened, all hell broke loose. She runs into Alice and she learns about the curse and exactly what's going on, and it is not at all what we thought. The High Fae who turned into a wolf was actually wanting to die to break the curse, which I had no idea, and it made Feyre realize, like, oh, maybe I'm not that strong, because this whole time she thought that she killed a High Fae, but really he let her kill it. And then she just kind of walks into this Undermountain. I envy that she did it, she did it for someone she loves, but she had to have had a plan. Like, she needed to at least devise some plan, but she just went in there blind, not really knowing anything, just now learning about this curse, not having all of the picture, not having everything together. And I don't know what it is that she thought she was going to do, how she thought she was going to be a match for Amarantha after she stole all the power of the High Lord. So the High Faes themselves cannot beat her, but Feyre will walk in there with no powers and no plan, and she will figure something out. Doesn't make sense. My second favorite character is Riz. He's good and he's evil. He's a very complex character. I'm not exactly sure where his loyalty lies, but I think when it comes down to it, he's good. He wants to be good. He did try to fight the queen to save Feyre's life, but he still made a deal with her where he owns her for a week out of the month. So I'm curious to see what we're gonna get from him in the second book. Now, I kind of want to talk about the poem that Amarantha, not sure how to pronounce it, but I thought that the poem or the riddle she gives her is a bit predictable. Basically, she states that she hates love. So when she gave that riddle, I thought it was very predictable. I thought the answer was going to be love, and it wasn't until Feyre was pretty much dead that she figured it out. Did anyone else see that? Anyone else knew the answer was love? I really did like the 3 trials that Feyre had to go through. Finally, she kind of did something right. She was really smart when she was up against that gigantic worm, and then she slices her arm, and that's the scene that made me really queasy, when she's in her cell and she has an infection and she's basically dying, and Riz comes in there and squeezes her, like pretty much her bone is showing in her arm, and he squeezes it. Oh, it made me nauseous thinking about that. It made me so nauseous. I can't even imagine how much that would hurt. So of course she accepts his deal. I really didn't think she was gonna accept it. I thought that Riz was gonna heal her no matter what, but then he ends up really hurting her. So I honestly don't know. Like I said, I'm really curious to see where his loyalty is. Also, the torturing of Claire was pretty gruesome. I don't know, this book was a lot more gruesome than I was expecting. Or am I just sensitive to gore and violence? The last thing that I quickly want to mention is, how in the world did Feyre just wake up and become a high fae? Like, not even a fae, she's a high fae. Or is there no such thing as fae? Are they all high faes? I don't know. But she wakes up and she's a high fae. I'm really curious to see how that happened. I'm assuming we're gonna learn that in the second book, unless there's something that I missed in this book. Tamlin basically said that was the only way to save her, but she had died. Did they bring her back from the dead? Or was Riz holding like her soul, keeping her from dying, and they were able to create her as a fae? I don't know. Okay, well that is all that I have for this book review. Comment down below, let me know what you thought of A Court in Thorns and Roses. We can discuss this book together. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos. I will see you next time with another video. Bye!